Hello and welcome to my channel for today's short practice. Today's class is a Hatha-Inspired flow, so we will be flowing through each pose, holding each pose for a few breaths, working on really noticing what's happening within the body, working on getting out of the mind and into the body. But we won't be holding poses quite as long as the yin classes like I normally do. And this class, I'm actually going to be just flowing with it. I haven't pre-planned the sequence, and that's because I've been thinking a lot lately about the fact how sometimes when I try to plan things or curate things to be a certain way, it seems like it almost is less natural and things don't go as well as when I just get in that flow state and kind of trust the process. And so that is kind of the heart behind today's class. So if you're ready, go ahead and grab a mat, jump into something cozy, and let's get to it. All right, so let's begin in our child's pose today, starting at the back of the mat. Big toes together, leaving some space between the knees, and begin to just walk the hands forward, allowing the forehead and chest to come down towards the mat. Thinking about keeping those glutes grounded toward the heels here, if that's within your practice. And then just continuing to walk those fingertips a little bit further forward with each exhale. As you're here, go ahead and just start to notice what's happening for you right now. Anything that's present within the body, areas of pain, stiffness, or tension. Any areas holding on to stress or emotional energy. And also take a moment to just notice the state of your mind. Is it busy or still? And how is that affecting your emotional reality? Without judgment, just noticing. Inhaling into the low belly. Exhaling fully and slowly. Maybe walking those fingertips a little bit further. And with your next exhale, begin to round through the spine. Bringing the hips forward as far as is comfortable, maybe just coming a little forward, maybe dropping them all the way down. As you exhale, lead with the hips, round back to that child's pose. Continuing a few times like this, moving at your own speed, just waking up the spine here a little bit. Beginning to connect with the breath. Inhaling as you round forward. Exhaling as you sink it back. Inhale, rounding forward, dropping the hips all the way forward, maybe lifting the knees for our upward facing dog this time. And again, tuning into that breath. Inhale deeply, exhale fully, relaxing the glutes and the hips. Allowing this gentle decompression of the spine to happen. And go ahead and drop the hips to the left, looking over the right shoulder. Breathing into our side body now. Take one more inhale. Exhale fully. And take it back to center, dropping the hips to the right now, looking over that left shoulder this time. And again, breathing into that side body, feeling how this use of the breath can help expand through those areas of tension, taking the stretch a little bit deeper. And also just notice the difference between these two sides. Let's take one more inhale. Let it all go. Good, return to center. Go ahead and tuck the toes, lead with the hips as you press your way back into down dog. So here, think about keeping the knees bent first and moving that belly button toward the thighs. So we're getting it flat back here, and then we can begin to extend through the knees. maybe walking out the dog. Again, tuning into that breath, using the breath as a tool here to help stay anchored in the present moment, to stay present in the body, and to take our stretches a little bit deeper. All right, with your next inhale, lift the right leg up for three-legged dog. Just noticing those hips, keeping them square. It can be easy to want to open the hips here. Just keep them square toward the mat. Even if you can't reach that foot as high, that's okay. We want to just notice how this changes the stretch, takes us a little deeper into the hip, into the hamstring. Now you can begin to bend that knee, flex the foot, and open up that hip. And again, just notice how that changed the area being targeted. Begin taking a few hip circles in the forward direction. And switch the direction. Shoulders staying square to the front of the mat here. All right, inhale back to three-legged dog, squaring those hips back off. As you inhale, step forward to the front of the mat, walk that foot across, and begin to lower that leg down. And it's okay if this heel needs to come back toward the hip, but then we want to think about extending through this back leg, walking that foot back a little bit. So we're getting this full extension through our hip flexor, through our psoas. And let's just inhale, extending through the spine. Exhale, chest coming down last. As you begin to settle in here. Just taking a few breaths again. Anytime you notice the mind wander, just take note of anything that's coming up for you, whether it's particular thoughts, and notice how that has an effect on your emotional reality. We're going to stay here just a little bit longer. This is a pose that can be pretty intense for a lot of people since many of us store difficult emotions through the hip area. And if you notice any emotions kind of rising while we're doing these stretches, but don't understand maybe why that's happening, that's kind of the somatic processing aspect that happens with this practice, that especially with yin, as we hold poses even longer. But sometimes when we have undealt with emotions, this emotional energy is stored or stuck in the body. And so when we begin to do something like this, that begins to release that tension, release those blockages through our fascia, through the connective tissue, then this emotions naturally are trying to come up as we are releasing that. So this is actually a very beneficial practice for our mind, our emotions, as much as it is for our body. All right, let's go ahead and plant the hands, stepping yourself back into plank, holding it for just a moment, extending through the scapulas. Exhale, lowering down for chaturanga, slow and controlled. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, lead with the hips, back to down dog. Again, keeping those knees bent at first, thinking about moving the belly button toward the thighs. Then extending, walking out your dog, maybe rocking the hips side to side, whatever feels best for you. Just enjoying this for a few breaths before we switch sides. All right, when you're ready, inhale, lifting the left leg this time. Again, thinking about keeping those hips squared toward the mat here. Just notice where the stretch is happening more, if it's in the calves for you or the hamstring, maybe the hip. And just notice if this side feels different than the first side did. Taking note of those imbalances. Inhale deeply into that low belly space. Exhale fully and slowly. Good. When you're ready, go ahead and stack the hips now, bending at the knee, flexing the foot. Now we're opening through the hips, but still trying to keep the shoulders square toward the front of the mat, and begin taking those hip circles in the forward direction. And reversing the direction. Good. Return to three-legged dog. And exhale, stepping forward, walking that foot across and lowering yourself down. Once again, allowing that heel to come back closer toward the hip if you need to. And then walking that back leg further, getting that extension through that right side now, through a hip flexor, psoas muscle. Let's inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold from the hips. Settling in here once again. Just noticing without judgment anything that's coming up for you. If the mind is wandering, or if you're becoming lost in emotions, then come back to that anchor of the breath. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and plant the hands, coming back up, stepping your way into plank once more. Take that inhale, opening through the scapulas. Exhale for chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, back to down dog once more. Bend the knees and take a small hop to the center of the mat, coming sideways, or you can stay forward, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna turn sideways though. And we're gonna come down into our yogic squat. So here, if you're having trouble coming down all the way, you can sit on a block or a stool, something to give yourself a little boost. And make sure that the feet are flat, maybe playing around with the angle of the feet or the width if you find that you're lifting on the heels or having trouble with the balance here. You can use the elbows to help press the knees away. And once more, breathe into that low belly space. This pose is actually really good to help work on that diaphragmatic breathing because we aren't able to breathe into the chest and the lungs as easy, or the chest and the ribs when we are in this position. So just notice that, where the breath is going as we're here. Let's plant the right hand now, keeping that elbow with tension against the right leg, and we're gonna open the chest up toward the ceiling, reaching the arm over. Feeling this gentle stretch through the side body, maybe even through the low back and the hip a little bit. Just noticing where that tension's happening. If you want to go further, you can take your bind behind your back, reaching the hands together. Good, let's switch sides. So again, extending up and over, opening that chest up toward the ceiling. Maybe taking your bind. Once more, just noticing the difference between the two sides, taking note of any imbalances. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and release. We're going to just find our way down onto our back now. Let's hug the right knee into the chest, rocking it side to side a little bit. And then bringing it across the body, making sure both shoulders stay grounded to the mat, and looking over that right shoulder to complete the twist. Breathing into the spinal cord with each inhale. Letting go of anything that's not serving you in this moment with each exhale. Good, returning to center. Taking it to the other side when you're ready. Bringing the left knee in. Maybe just rocking it side to side a little bit first. And as you exhale, drawing that knee across the body, looking over the opposite shoulder. Be sure both shoulders are still touching the ground here. If they're not, you can use a prop under the knees so the twist isn't quite as deep. With your next exhale, go ahead and untwist yourself. Maybe lifting the hips, gently rolling the spine down one vertebrae at a time, and extending the arms and legs in our starfish, or you can take your regular Shavasana or corpse pose. And settle here for just a few more moments, noticing any shifts that have occurred within the body. Noticing the changes of sensations. Maybe that feels like a slight tingling or buzzing. Noticing any shifts that have occurred in the state of your mind or emotions. Relaxing a little deeper through the feet, the ankles, the lower legs, the upper legs, hips, low back, middle back, the ribs, upper back and shoulder blades, chest and shoulders, arms, and every little facial muscle completely relaxed. I invite you to stay in your Shavasana even longer today if you wish. But if you're ready to finish with me, then go ahead and turn onto your right side and meet me seated for our final closing breath together. Maybe keeping the eyes closed for a little bit longer. And once you come to your seat, simply notice one more time whatever is present for you, without judgment, simply noticing. Then let's inhale, reaching the arms up toward the sky, maybe stretching side to side, just waking the body back up. And exhale, hands to prayer at heart center, taking a moment to thank yourself for taking the time to honor your mind and body in this way today. Thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Liking and subscribing are the two best ways that you can help support this channel and help me expand my reach. A lot of people don't realize, I don't think, that it is very difficult to get reach as a content creator, and it takes a long time to be able to make any significant income doing this. And so if you guys are enjoying this content, please consider helping me out in that way. I really appreciate it. I also really love to hear your feedback and suggestions if there's content that you guys want to see. I do this for y'all, so please be sure to let me know if there's different things you'd like to see. Or just have any ideas. I'm always open to your feedback and appreciate it very much. So thank you again for joining me for today's practice. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you soon, my friends. Namaste.